Fight and Talk back again, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Bailey Gilbert following, what's been a pretty impressive 12 months, is it not, Bailey? How are you, man?
Not too bad, mate. It's been a kind of year.
Look, very, very active on the domestic scene now. 4 fights, collecting 3 titles along the way. Although it'd be good to get you on and we can just sort of run through what this year has been like for you. So if we start, golden ticket 18, I think it was, Robbie Scott. Second round.
Yeah, yeah, man. So my first fight of the year, I just fought in December. December 5th, I beat Rico Biggs. I subbed him in the first, and then had Christmas off, enjoyed Christmas, and then came back. Fought, and my plan wasn't actually to have 4 fights this year. I was just going to see how things went, and it's very hard for us to say no to good opportunities. So I got offered Robbie Scott, subbed him in the second round, and then after that, it was all talk that I was fighting for the belt on golden ticket, and I'd already booked my next fight on Unity for the belt, where I fought Sam Bird, and I subbed Sam in the first. So that was a good start, and then I kind of just didn't really book no fights over the summer. Just focused on my training and stuff. I was still flat out with it, but just enjoyed a bit of time off and that as well, with having nothing lined up. And then I came back and I fought on BFC for the belt on there. We had a last minute pull out. My opponent had visa issues for getting over, so I had a last minute pull out on there. But I won that fight TKO in the first as well. And then golden ticket the weekend just gone. Fought on my birthday. Fought Thomas Paul. It was my biggest test in my career, and I can't I can't be any happier with the performance I put on. That is exactly how I wanted to win a fight like that, especially with all the eyes that have been on that fight. So it was good to put him away in the first, in the fashion that I did as well.
If we rewind the clock then to that Unity show, that first fight, I think especially for North East, for people like me who've covered the sport for long enough, it was a fight I didn't know I needed. And then when it come out, I was like, this sounds like a great fight. Of course, Sam Bird, he was a highly touted amateur, went very, very well in his amateur days, turned over the pro game. Of course, he's moved up a few weights there for this matchup. How did that sort of come about? And I'm sure you would have seen Sam on the regional circuit, and likewise, he's seen you. And what do you think of Sam, and what we expecting of him going into that one?
Yeah, so I've known Sam for a while now. Like, Sam's around my age as well, so he was kind of on the scene from young as well as an amateur. And I always rated him. It just never was a fight that I saw coming into fruition, because we were like different weight classes and stuff. And then just one year he decided to grow a beard and get pretty big. So and then that fight came about. So it was a good fight as well. Like, especially like you see on the North East scene, it was one of those fights that came up. I was like, that is a good fight. So yeah, and I was excited for that one. It was a good fight. Like, I rate Sam as well. So
looking back on that, then, how did you sort of assess your performance, and what was it like to get that strap around your waist?
So I was happy with how I done. Sam came out strong, which is what we expected. It's the way he fights. Obviously, I went in with my game plan, executed my game plan the way I wanted to do it. I thought it was actually going to go into the later rounds, because I know Sam's a fast starter, and I thought it was going to be a case of going into deep waters with being a 5-round fight. But I just got him away early. So yeah, I enjoyed that fight.
Yeah, of course. And then, like you said, look, you did have the summer off, then you were back on British Fighting Championship. Again, it was going to be another tough test for you in the shape of JR Jr. But like you just mentioned there, it was a last-minute change in opponent. How does that, I guess, affect... How far out from the fight was it? Was it like a few days out, a week out, or what?
It was after I'd weighed in.
Right, okay. So at that point then, for you, do you still take the fight? Is it a case of having to sort of recalibrate your mentality a bit, that you've been ready to face this one guy right up until the 11th hour, if you like, and then it's changed? How does that affect you going into a fight?
It's a roller coaster of emotions. It was a mad set of hours before the fight, like just trying to figure out what's going on. And obviously you've sold a load of tickets. Like, I had a load of people coming down and stuff, and it was just trying to figure out what the plan was and what was going to happen. And it was all kind of up in the air, but we still got the fight. It was a mad fight camp as well, because the way I normally fight, and the fact I was fighting this Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, the fight camp was completely flipped on its head, to the way where, like, how I was going to approach this fight was completely different. And but we still got the fight, and we got the job done anyway. So
And then, of course, like you just mentioned there, this past weekend on Golden Ticket, like you say, it was a huge fight when it got announced. I believe this was announced as well before your fight on British Fight Championships as well. Can you talk to us
Yeah,
first
man.
then a little bit about that? And was it one of them when the name like Thomas Paul, a Contender Series alumni, if you like, when a name like that comes up, was it one of them where even though you knew you had a fight coming up, you just had to jump at the opportunity, or?
We'd already spoke to Golden Ticket after I beat Robbie Scott. Like, it was already written that I was going to be fighting for the belt. So the plan originally was to just fight on Golden Ticket. The date was originally meant to be in October, and then the show changed. And rather than just wait till Golden Ticket came round, I just hopped on and thought, why not win another belt in the meantime? So yeah, it was like a 16-week camp. But that fight, when I knew I was going to be fighting someone for the featherweight belt at Golden Ticket, and I knew however it was going to be high level because it's, in my opinion, probably is the best regional show there is in the UK. Like, it's top notch. And when I got offered Thomas, I thought, sign me up. That's a name I want on my record.
Yeah, and it absolutely was. And I mean, look, that fight itself, if we look at that, it didn't make it out the first round, but it was a bloody affair, was it not? Was that game plan just executed to perfection on your part, or?
I couldn't have asked for it to go any better. I couldn't ask more of myself from that fight. And again, it was one of those ones I thought it was going to be drag him into deep waters, put the pressure on him, because even though, like, I've got 3 first round finishes this year, I get better as the fight goes on. Like, I'm a cardio king. Like, my gas tank's probably is my best feature, and it's so to just keep winning like this is great. Like, I'm not complaining at all. Like, putting people away early is fine by me. But yeah, I expected to have to take him into deep waters. Obviously, he's got some crazy knockouts on his record. He's got some like big wins, and we know he hits hard. So I expected that coming out. But like, even in the stand up exchanges, I never got clipped. I took him down, controlled him, and just once I opened that cut up, I knew I had to put him away. And I just seen the cut get worse and worse, and I thought, we've just got to go for it.
Those elbows you were raining down, was that part of the game plan going into the fight, or was that something that you just seen the opening for when you were in his guard when you then ultimately got that mount, or what was the game plan going in? Were the elbows an integral part of it?
The elbows are an integral part of every game plan. Every fight I go into, I'm looking to throw elbows, I'm looking to cut people, I'm looking to do damage. Even if you look back to when I fought Cameron Hardy, I cut Cameron Hardy with an elbow, and that was back when I was 18. Like, so they've always been like, since I've been allowed to throw them, I love sticking elbows in there. So yeah, but the plan was like, grind them out, pressure, get on top with me, use me wrestling and do damage.
With that Thomas Paul fight, then I guess, look, your previous 2 title fights, they were near enough in the North East, of course, being Middlesbrough, and I think Durham as well for Unity. What was that like going into the opponent's backyard, if you like? We know how popular Thomas Paul is on a show like Golden Ticket. What's that like for you then to be going in where he's ultimately the fan favorite going into that? Does that change anything for you entering the fight?
No, do you know what it is? Not at all. Like, I walked out and I was getting booed and I was getting the finger and people giving us the thumbs down, but I already like expected this because I just expected to get hatred. You know what I mean? Like, I knew there was going to be loads of people there for him. I know he's a big draw, so and it didn't phase us at all. It's the first time I've really came out to like boos and stuff, because obviously you've always got fans there and that, but they all hated us for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah, but it didn't phase us at all. I took a, there was a few people made the trip down, and it's a long way to come down to watch his fight. So I appreciate the people that do come down, and loads of people on the live stream and stuff. But once I'm in there and the cage door is locked, there's no one can help you. It's you and them, and it doesn't matter what the crowd is, and the crowds are only going to get bigger and bigger from here. So I can't be letting that phase us.
Look, this is now what, a 6-fight win streak that you're on as well. I think it's fair to say the first few bouts in your career, you were struggling to get any momentum. It would be a couple of wins, couple of losses here and there. What for you has changed, or what for you has flipped since that win in 2021 that started this streak to ultimately get you on this streak?
Yeah, so like, obviously COVID came around and stuff, so there was no fights, or there wasn't many fights that people were able to take, and if you were, you had to isolate and all that crazy stuff. But basically during lockdown, me, Asa, Travis, like a few of the lads just got together and we started training and doing our. It got to the point where, like during lockdown, we were in a barn in the snow, hitting pads and grappling on mats bought from Toys R Us because no one could get a hold of any mats. So like rolling around in this barn like with like 3 layers on wrapped up, hitting pads and stuff, and just every day just smashing it. And there was like nothing else going on in the world, and it was just dead. And we just kind of followed it through that. And then when shows started coming back on, just went balls to the wall with it and just never really stopped. And obviously ended up moving gyms. I moved down to Sensei in Dalton, and now we're down there, like just hitting new levels. Like every time I fight, I hit a new level. We're always like I train twice a day, 6 days a week. We're always traveling around for sparring. We're always at TFT, MFA, sparring with like the best guys my weight and trying the best to push me forward. And we're getting in, trying to get everything perfect. Like I've got all my meals from a meal prep company, and like I'm bang on with my weight cut now as well. I sat and done a load of research into how I was cutting weight, because the way I was doing it was just I never really used to cut weight. I've always just been like 66 kilo fighter since I was like 15 and just stayed there. And then now I cut weight, and then it was messing us up a bit. Like at the start of 2021, like them fights, I wasn't really cutting weight the best way. Whereas the cut against Thomas Paul was the easiest cut I've ever done, and I went in there like in great shape, and I felt great at the weigh-ins and everything. So that was a big part of it as well. But even down to the strength and conditioning side of things, like we're working a lot with Steve Gordon, trying to just build on my strength and conditioning, and just everything we're doing now, we're just analysing it and making sure everything's perfect, and the work we're getting in with everyone else. And we're always traveling, training with other people and getting people in for seminars, like all the best people like Mick Sudrin, Team GB wrestling coach, Andrew Fisher, who owns TFT, like all the top guys. And I appreciate all of them for the help that they put into these camps.
On that then, how special do you think that is? Look, in the North East, we're not a big region. To have everybody that's on, of course, on the domestic scene, you're going to end up fighting guys from these gyms and whatever else. But for the likes of yourself, who's really making a tear at the minute, you've got the 2 Hardwicks both signed to Cage Warriors at MFA, which you've just mentioned training at. You've got guys at TFT who are signed at Cage Warriors as well. How important do you think it is for everybody's development and to really help the North East scene rise for you all to be training together?
I think it's massive. I think like in every Northeast gym that I've ever walked in has been a great atmosphere, and everyone's being sound, and everyone I've sparred with is being sound. That you don't get there's no animosity really in the Northeast. And like I've sparred with a load of featherweights, and they're all spot on. And like the level we've got up here in the Northeast is absolutely mega. And I think it's been that way for a long time. I think like people up here just grittier, like they want to win the fight more. I think there's just more to it, like coming from like the kind of backgrounds that people up here come from. And like the scene's just been mental ever since I started fighting. Like I say when I started fighting, like I'm old, but like even since I was 15, like the scene up here has been massive, and we've got guys on like the best shows, and it's just mint, and it's only going to go get better as well.
I mean, look, who knows what the next 12 months holds for you, but at the minute, it is still them domestic shows for yourself. As much as I'm sure you'd love to be on a Bellator or on a Cage Warriors, how good has it been for you to be on the domestic scene? Because find somebody that's fought 4 times this year on any of their major shows, you're really going to struggle. But for you to be able to be getting out as regularly as it has that almost been a bit of a blessing for you to be able to do that on the domestic scene?
Yeah, I've always just been active, like forever. I was talking to someone today, and I was saying like I had 9 Army fights before I went pro, and I was only on Army for like 2 years. So I've always just been active, and I love to get in there and do it. But so now I've like had 12 pro fights at 23-year-old. Like maybe it is time to space them out a little bit, but I've said that before, and it doesn't happen. But yeah, it's been good to get them in, and like everything happens for a reason. And I'm glad the fights and the opportunities I've had have came up when they hadn't. It couldn't have worked out any better. Like I told people at the start of the year that this is what I was going to do. I was going to go and I was going to win the golden ticket belt, even before I would knew who I was fighting, and been and done it. So,
is it one of those as well then, where I guess, look, we've seen now with the likes of Thomas Paul, Mike Parkin now signed as well, Chris Duncan to an extent, these guys who really made the name for themselves on the domestic scene, and that was ultimately what led to their call up. I mean, You're a fighter. 99.9% of fighters, the goal is to get the UFC. I'm assuming that's the same for yourself. But
Yeah, man, without a doubt.
to now see that there is this other route, it doesn't have to be Cage Warriors, win the belt, defend it, UFC. To see that now, if you can make a name for yourself on the domestic scene and go in via that Dana White Contender Series show, what's that like for you to see?
It's great. Like, it's an amazing opportunity that you could take, and a route that you could take to do it. And it's just adds, especially when sometimes you see guys do well in other organizations and not get signed. Like, there is a way to do it. I think the main thing is you've got to finish people and be exciting, and I do that, so that's all right. But I think it's having the more avenues there is, the better it is for people, because there's just more and more opportunities, and people will just keep trying. Like, so, like, you get people who will be more game to fight on these domestic shows and stuff, and see that there is other ways to do it.
If we look forward, then the next 12 months, what have you envisioned what you're going to be doing, or what's the plans?
Well, if the Contender Series season 7 comes round and they need a featherweight, I'm the guy, and sign us up. I'm there with it, my bells on. So yeah, so if that comes up, that comes up. But since our fight at the weekend against Thomas Paul, my phone's not stopped. Had some big offers in from a few places, and it's been a crazy position to be sat there going, well, do I do this or do I do that? And having these opportunities and the choice as well is great for me. Like, it's a great position to be in. There's much worse problems to have than choosing between the options that I've got, but I've got a good idea on the route that I'm going to take. But at the same time, like I said, if the Contender Series comes up and Dana White wants to stick us on, I'm there all day.
Look, obviously you can't talk too much about the options or anything like that. But for you, do you feel that maybe 2023 is going to be that year where you start reaping the rewards for all your hard work that you've been putting in over the years since you were 15?
Yeah, man. Yeah, 100%. Like, it's like this win just gone is just massive for us. It's the biggest win in my career, and everything I was just so happy. That's why, like, when I was in the cage at the fight, like, I ended up like dropping to my knees, and when my corner came in and stuff, and it was just like surreal to be like, this is going to change my life, and the offers that I'm getting in are going to change my life, and it is great to be finally reaping the rewards, and it is only going to get better.
I know you mentioned it before, and I just want to touch on it because I've just done that geography in my head, and it's some travel for you from where you're based down to Darlington in Sensei. Why did you pick that gym specifically to go and train?
So what happened was during COVID and in the run up to my first fight, we started going down there. Like, I knew Rick, and at the time Mooch as well. They were training out of there, so I got in touch with them. I ended up going down there for sparring a fair bit before my first fight, and then just I got on with the lads, and I loved the way that all worked and stuff. And then it just seemed like the right thing to do to make that transition to go down there, and it's worked out so far. So
Perfect. Then Bailey, just before I let you go, if you've got any sponsors, anything you want to shout out, go for it. And what message have you got as well for the people who have followed you around this year? 4 fights. It's a lot of traveling for the fans as well, especially paying for the tickets and everything like that. So yeah, the floor is yours for any sponsors and what you want to say to your fans.
yeah, man. So first of all, like, thank you to everyone who has came to watch us fight. I can't put into words how much I appreciate it. Like, I know times are hard, and it is a lot of money, especially when it's to go down Wolverhampton to get a hotel, to get drinks while you wait all night because I'm the last one on, and then to travel back the next day. So, like, I can't thank people enough. Like, it means the world always when people travel and follow and watch us fight, especially when I'm fighting 4 times a year and it's like a few £100 a time. But, like, I can't thank them enough. So that's one big thing. That's one big shout out I want to do. And then also a big shout out to my girlfriend who's put up with 4 fight camps this year, me being hungry all the time, going out early, getting in late. Like, I'm leaving the house like 6, half 6, not getting in until like 10 o'clock on a night. And this is like non-stop. So I do appreciate her. But she understands, she knows what the goal is. So she's here for it. And then also, I'd like to shout out to the gym, Sensei, Rick, the lads, Bill, Ross, all them guys. Like, big up them, man. Like, the time and effort they put into us and sorting, training, sparring, everything. Like, it's unbelievable. And they're just getting a new facility now in Darlington still, and that's looking so sick, man. It's going to be class, and I'm glad that I'm doing this journey with them, and you can see people coming in the gym and stuff, that I'm bringing something back to the gym by having the guys come up and be like, a bit publicity from me to kind of help them. So I'm glad that's a thing. And then a shout out to my sponsors, Hard Life Fightwear, for kitting us out for years now, and also a shout out to New Day Safety Solutions, because they've been a massive help for these past few fight camps. They've been absolutely unreal, sorting all my meals out for us. So yeah, that's everyone.
Perfect. Bailey, thank you very much for your time and all the best for the next 12 months, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.